Welcome to Wealthy Muslim Woman Podcast, a resource for Muslim women to learn about money, how to create it, grow it, and to protect it. Money's easy. All that's needed is the right mindset. I'm your host, Dr. Saima Ali, with life coaching tools to truly help you create wealth in all areas of your life. Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Wealthy Muslim Woman Podcast. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend and a whole week actually. I don't know why I just said weekend. And we have some good news coming about COVID, that there are a couple of big companies, Pfizer and Moderna, that have announced that their vaccines appear to be over 90% effective and safe. So I am really excited over that news, and I cannot wait until they start giving the vaccine to everybody and we are over this pandemic and are able to walk around without masks and able to see each other. So that is some very exciting news coming out at the end of 2020. And then, of course, we were all worried about the elections and what was going to happen with that. And hopefully with the new government in, we have a better control and better strategies to deal with this pandemic as well. I think that's the worst thing facing our whole world right now, basically. And I don't think we were doing enough in terms of prevention, in terms of shutting down, in terms of so many other things that could have been done at government level that were not in place. So hopefully with this new government, we'll have better understanding and better steps taken as well. And this month we are talking about relationships, how to have healthy relationships, how to improve our relationships. And last couple of episodes we've talked about, what love is, and that it's not love that hurts, but it is the lack of love that hurts. And how it is not other people who hurt our feelings, but what we think about other people doing and saying that causes us the pain. So we are in control of our emotions because of what we are thinking or because of what we are doing. In this episode, I want to talk to you more about how not to leave a relationship or not to leave a circumstance where you are until you feel happy and love in it. So, for example, don't leave a relationship if you're married. Don't get a divorce until you can find your happiness in it, and don't leave a job until you can find that you are happy and satisfied and what exactly is causing your emotional pain there, and recognizing that those are your thoughts. And of course, we're not talking about, being in an abusive relationship where you just stay to try to find your happiness. That's not what the meaning is. But people end up blaming their spouse for a lot of things that they are feeling. We feel that the spouse or the other person is responsible for the pain that they are causing us by doing certain things or by saying certain things to us. But once we recognize that it is all coming from our thoughts, then we become in charge of our feelings and we become in charge of our life and we feel more powerful. But changing the situation, changing the circumstance does not actually change how we feel about it. We may end up in a similar situation again because, again, our feelings are not coming from what they're saying or what they're doing. It's not by the external situation or external circumstances, but it is coming from our own thoughts. So, of course, you can try to, get a new job or try to leave a relationship and then try to find your happiness. But most of the times what ends up happening is we end up in similar situation again because we have not solved the original issue, which is getting to know ourselves. We give too much power to the external things over our emotional life, and we want to get our life back. We want to learn to manage our emotions internally. Emotions come from us. And when we make decisions from emotions, such as like anger, rage, or other things, that most of the time those actions do not give us positive results, and we end up again in the same negative circumstances. And this is something that we call child emotionalhood. So when we are dependent on other people, when we want the external thing to make us happy, when we blame other people, then we feel the most powerless. And this is how kids are, right? When you are young, when you're a baby, you cannot take care of yourself. You cannot take care of your needs. You need somebody to make food for you. You need somebody to take care of you, provide you with your clothes, provide you with different things. And what ends up happening is we end up growing up with that stuff and still being in an emotional childhood where we are dependent on other people to do things for us. And instant gratification is part of this, where we want, let's say we're feeling miserable, we had a bad day at work, and we come home and we end up eating a cheesecake, or we end up watching Netflix just to make us feel better, instead of really feeling our emotions and seeing what we are dealing with. So we need to stop wishing that our life would change, but instead come back to ourselves and realize that it is not the other person's fault. It is not whatever the situation is fault. The problem is the way we are thinking about it. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be hurt by what other people say. You can think, so if somebody says, like your spouse or somebody who's really close to you, your friend, if they say that you are not a good person, you did this wrong or that wrong, of course that can hurt us sometimes, right? Because we don't want them to talk to us like that. We don't want them to say those things to us. And there's nothing wrong with feeling hurt. There's nothing wrong with feeling sad. But recognizing that you are feeling bad, you are feeling sad because of the way you are thinking about what they said, and you have complete power to not to allow them to make you feel that way. You can choose. So if it's a stranger saying something, then most of the times we don't feel bad, we don't feel guilty, because we just don't care, right? And we can have the same type of thoughts about people who are closer to us if we don't want to feel bad and if we don't want to feel sad. We have complete power over that. When we are in emotional childhood, we are creating someone else. We are thinking that someone else is creating our feelings. And we have to work towards emotional adulthood, which is the opposite of emotional childhood. And that is like taking full responsibility for how we are feeling and realizing that everything in our life everything that we experience in our life is through an emotion. And we can really take control of our entire experience of being alive. That includes, making more money, getting academic degree, just being successful in a relationship, and being able to really do so many things in this life if we just own our own emotions, take responsibility for how we feel, and learn to delay our gratification. So not running for the cheesecake when we want it, not watching TV when we want it, but really committing to our goals and ourselves and working on them to get the life that we desire and that life that we want. And even the money part has a lot to do with this. A lot of the time we end up hiding and not taking actions and not going for that promotion because we are afraid of our emotions. We talked about some of that in last month in the confidence episode, that we are afraid that we're going to fail, so we don't even take an action. So we end up failing ourselves ahead of time. I wanted to talk a little bit about manuals in this episode, but I'll try to do it in the next one. My son keeps coming and bothering me. He wants me to play with him, so I gotta run. But I hope this episode really helps and it makes sense. And of course, it is all related to money and creating wealth, because once you are in control of your emotions, once you learn to face your fears, and once you learn to take actions and do the things that are going to help in this life, then nothing really stands in your way. You are willing to feel anything that's out there. Okay. And I'll talk in the next episode about manuals and what loving yourself actually means. All right. Bye until next time.